What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dissect That Film podcast, where once a week we dissect one of our favorite films or a film from a film franchise. I am one of your hosts, Brett Parker, and joining me, as always, is the amazing DNA Gaming, consisting of Dan and Angela. Woo! I'd say welcome back, but you're here every time.
Always and forever.
Always and forever. I love the sound of that. Today, we are talking about the 2002 horror movie, The Ring, the American remake of the 1998 J-horror, Japanese horror, Ringu. This movie came out October 18th, 2002. So good Halloween movie back in those days. I don't believe I saw this in theaters. This might have been a home release. I do remember seeing The Ring 2, which we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I remember when it came out. I remember the trailers and stuff for it.
Yeah, we'll get to that too, because there's some interesting facts about how they put this film out there, how they like the trailers and all that. It's very interesting. It was budgeted at $48 million and it made $249.4 million. This was
a good turn.
This was the highest R-rated horror movie, or I believe R-rated film.
This is a PG-13 movie.
Okay, I made a mistake. It was PG-13. You're right. I have a note here about a fact about this, and I didn't even read it, so good on me.
It's all right, keep going.
Until Stephen King's It in 2017, this movie was the highest grossing horror remake in history with the $249 million box office.
I didn't realize that this movie did that well.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I think the PG-13 rating it brings in a lot. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, when a movie becomes R, it's very limited on what you're going to be getting. So when a movie that's rated R makes over $100 million or $150 million, that's a lot of money, because most of the time the budgets are really low.
Well, my former profession was running a movie theater. We would always remember that when horror movies came in, because horror movies always do really well in our area. And anytime one of them came in, especially in the early to mid 20-teens, we know we get a lot of there's a lot of PG-13 horror films related at that time, like The Gallows and stuff like that, Yep. And I think it was PG-13. I don't know what that movie was, but I'm just giving an example. Anyway, we always remember when those come in, because they usually did really well, because you could let those teenagers in, but then you'd always have problems with teenagers in these damn movies.
Yeah.
But yes, very profitable. You are right. A lot of people overlook that rating.
Yeah. This movie was directed by Gore Verbinski. Now, if you don't know who that is, he would later, the next year after The Ring, he would go on to direct Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and then the next two Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Rango, the Lone Ranger remake.
Rango is so good.
But one of my the first Gore Verbinski movie I ever saw was his very first film, which was called Mouse Hunt, which had Nathan Lane. Oh, fantastic. If you've never seen Mouse Hunt, check it out. It's his very first film. He's well known for, back in the 80s, he was a punk rock guitarist, I believe. So he was in a band, and then he later directed music videos for pop punk bands.
I know I've heard his name before, but I had no idea what he even did.
Yeah. Gore Verbinski. He's he went from this to directing probably one of the biggest franchises ever with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Especially with Curse of the Black Pearl. I mean, that movie revolutionized film for the next 20 years.
Yeah, that was a pretty damn big deal.
Like, let's make a Disney ride into a movie. And he's like, hold my beer, and he did a great job with it. But yeah, then he also remade. He directed the Lone Ranger movie, which is what it is. It's got a lot of problems, but I've actually never seen the whole thing, so I'm not going to sit here and lambaste it.
I remember that movie flopping pretty hard for us when it was in theaters.
Yeah, well,
I do remember Mouse Hunt now that I've seen the poster for it.
Oh, fantastic movie. Yeah, but to be honest, I've seen The Ring a few times in my life. I don't think I've seen this too many times. I think the last time I actually watched it before I had to watch it for the show was probably over 10 years ago. And I did not know that he had directed this until the credits rolled. And I was like, oh shit, no way. Crazy things you figure out. Music was done by Hans Zimmer, which is also crazy, because I don't know if I've ever remember Hans Zimmer doing scores for horror movies. But he would later, him and Gore Verbinski would later work with each other for all of Gore Verbinski's films going forward.
Hey,
Until the movie The Cure for Wellness, which came out in 2017, which was it was like a mental institution movie. It was a weird psychological thriller. Never saw it.
Oh, okay. I heard of, but again, don't
Yeah.
know anything about it.
So before we go into trivia and the plot, you know how the show works. We're gonna go around and talk about what we thought of The Ring. And we're gonna start. I guess we're going to start with you guys, even though this is my movie. I'm going to let you guys talk about it first, and then I'll talk about what I thought of my latest viewing of it.
I'll go first, so it can only go up from here.
All right, bring it up, baby. I'm ready. Listen, just go ham. All right, just go ham.
Okay, I will, but I'm going to preface this. This is not by any stretch a bad movie. This is just not my kind of film.
Cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. I'm not really big into like ghost story, demonic possession movies to begin with. I thought this movie did not need to be 2 hours. Like 20 or 30 movies, 20, 30 minutes could have been dropped.
Yep.
There's good actors in this movie. Naomi Campbell's good.
Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts, that's the one. I don't know why I said
Naomi Campbell, she's a model.
Brian Cox is dope. I like him. There's some other good actors in here, but just they had a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
The writing was good. I just didn't give a shit about any of the main people. Like the main characters were just crap, horrible people in my opinion. And I hated the kid.
I
hated the little kid. Hated the little kid. I could not stand him. I can't stand movies where they take little kids and then like they don't make them realistic. How many children do you know like this? Anybody watching this that knows a kid like this, tell me right now. I know it's a movie. I understand. It's a movie. But other than that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I like the investigative side of the story.
Yes.
I liked that. There are some cool scenes, which I'll mention when we talk about them in the movie. But so this is not a bad movie by any stretch. It just was not a film for me. It is well made. But I thought there was literally 20 or 30 minutes that could have just been lobbed off the film, and I did not care for the ending.
Okay,
that's it.
All right.
That was all I have to say about it. But like I said, it can only go up from here. So,
Angela.
What? Why'd you laugh?
Listen, don't hold back. That's what this show is about. I don't care if I like the movie. We gotta be honest with each other. That's how this show goes.
I was blunt.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is what I like.
Just don't stare at me. Because he makes fun of my facial expressions. I can't help it. I like the movie. I remember liking it the first time I watched it, but I also remember it being scarier.
Yeah.
I could see this when you're younger, this being a very scary movie.
I watched it at a sleepover.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, like my goodness. That's literally the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Like those two girls just hanging out.
Yeah. So I watched it at a sleepover, and I was like, oh gosh. And I don't think any of us really slept that night. But no, I can't say that I'm really obsessed with them, but I like demonic possession.
That was our first date.
Yeah, we watched
The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good one. That's a good one.
That was not bad.
It's got Jennifer Carpenter from Dexter. Great show.
There you go. So,
but yeah, I remember it a lot different.
I'm sorry.
But not saying it in a bad way. I just remember it being really scary. And then now I think where I've watched so many movies, and played scary games, like I blocked seeing certain scenes, and I'm like, oh, this is probably gonna happen, and I'm like, yep, I'm right.
Yeah,
but it was still good.
So this is the reason I picked this movie. I picked this movie. I had 3 or 4 different movies in mind for this show. And I picked The Ring because The Ring was a movie that when I was a kid, I think it was like when this movie came out, I was 11. So yeah, I'm still a kid. When this movie came out, it truly terrified me. Like it kept me up at night. Like I just could always imagine like being alone in like the TV's not on. But you're like, damn, if that TV turns on, I just see static, I'm running. I am running. Watching it as a 30-year-old man now, I'm watching this movie going, man, you literally only see Samara for 5 seconds in this movie.
Yep.
But the thing that I did appreciate about this movie is the investigative part of it, like her investigating everything that was going on and how everything was unraveling, and she was figuring that was good. They did a really good job with that. And yeah, some of the characters are kind of like, oh God, you suck. Like, you just suck. Rachel, Naomi Watts, she is a little bit much in some of it. I feel like she's trying to be super emotional, and I think she does a good job in certain parts, and some other parts you're like, okay, let's just simmer down. And the kid, the kid's a little weird. He's a very weird kid. I mean, just the sheer fact that he calls his mom by her actual name instead of calling her mom is just
that would drive me nuts.
Kick in the nuts, to be honest.
Right.
He's like, I gave birth to you, kid. Like, at least call me mom. And then of course I like, what the heck is his name? What's the boyfriend or the guy's name? Noah. Noah sucks. He sucks. He's and we'll talk about it when we get to the scene, but you know, if you find out something about him and you're like, okay, you're just a worse character now.
Like, it was hard for me to care about any of the main characters.
No,
like it really was. No. Like, they're not horrible, isn't that? It's like, I just don't care about them as far as like I said, the actors did a decent job.
Yeah, I think the best performer in this movie was Brian Cox as the dad keeping his seat. And Brian Cox is a fantastic actor. I mean, he's in so many things. And to be honest, if nobody knows, he is the original Hannibal Lecter, and not a lot of people know that. He was in the first movie was called Manhunter, was based on Thomas Harris's novel Red Dragon. That came out. It came out 2 or 3 years before Silence of the Lambs, and Brian Cox played Hannibal Lecter. So Brian Cox is the OG Hannibal Lecter, even though he's clearly not the best Hannibal Lecter. But Brian Cox is fantastic.
The most important thing about Brian Cox is he was the captain on Super Trooper.
Yes, he was. Yes. And he came back for Super Troopers 2. I can't talk tonight. I haven't even been drinking.
And he does McDonald's commercials already.
Yes. Yes. He's great. I like, oh man. He turned down a role in the movie Ghost Ship to be in this movie. Do you remember Ghost Ship?
I remember the poster and like the advertisement for it, but I think he paid. I've never seen Ghost Ship, but I'm assuming he made a better choice with this film.
Yeah. This movie made way more money. To be honest, Ghost Ship, if you are into horror movies, watch Ghost Ship just to say you watch Ghost Ship. It's not a terrible movie, but it's your, run-of-the-mill ghost movie. I thought it was pretty interesting when I watched it, 20 years ago. But yeah, my final thoughts, I definitely expected it to be scarier. I did not realize you only saw Samara for 5 seconds. And but in all, the investigative part of the film was solid. And to be honest, I still enjoyed it. I watched it and was like, well, that was pretty good. I didn't remember it going like this. It ended so abruptly too.
Yeah, it's like,
he literally
this movie's over. It's like 5 more minutes. What's going on?
Like, what the frick? Okay. So the original trailer for this film was just the contents of the curse video tape without mentioning the film itself. The official trailer for this movie didn't come out for a month after this trailer. So literally when you were watching TV one day, a commercial would pop up of just this video, the weird things that the cursed video would show, and no context behind it. Wouldn't show a release date that it was for a movie. It just showed it and then it moved on. And you're like, great marketing, to be honest.
That's fantastic. That's the help, because everybody's going to be like, what's this? I want to know what this is. Explain this to me.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, this was based on a book called The Ring. It was by a Japanese author, Koji Suzuki. The original was directed by Hideo Nakata. I'm going to mispronounce some of these names, and I apologize. He would actually go on to direct the American version of The Ring 2. Isn't that wild? The original director of Ringu, the Japanese version of this movie, would go on to direct the American sequel of The Ring. Like, what?
What are the odds?
That is insane. And it's a sequel to this movie. So it continues the story of Naomi Watts' character, Rachel, and Aiden. This franchise is wild.
Oh, so it's not even like an indirect tie-in. It's not like I had no idea. I don't know nothing about the sequel at all. So
no, this is The Ring 2, which it's not the number 2, it's TWO. That's how they did it. I saw this in theaters and I actually laughed out loud. That's how this movie is not. The Ring 2 is not good. It's the same. It's like the same runtime as the Ring 1. So you're like, okay, this is already bad because almost 2 hours for a horror movie is just too fucking long. And then they would make a third Ring movie like 12 years later with Rings, which was just Ring. It was like the Ring, but in the digital age. So had Johnny Galecki in it from The Big Bang Theory and Roseanne. Like what? What are we doing here?
What was that other movie that was like that?
The Grudge.
No, not The Grudge. It was you talk about the Rings, talking about the Ring in the digital age.
Oh. Okay. I don't know.
It's like the one that all takes place over Skype.
Oh, like Unfriended?
Yeah, it's like that shit. That's what that made me think.
I can't get into those. I can't get into found footage. I've just never like Paranormal Activity. I remember seeing that a few times and I was like, okay, I like what they did with this. And then I just never got, to be honest, I never was a big fan of the Blair Witch Project. I thought it was a really cool concept. I just never could get into it. The found footage to me is just so like nauseating.
And it got played out real hard.
I couldn't. I watched a little bit of Blair Witch, and I was like,
remember when we watched?
I can't because it's like that too. It's like even with The Strangers, it was all on the handheld camera. I was like, there's so much movement in it, even though it's just those were like just a little bit. But like when it's constant movement, I can't keep up. And it's like, okay, who are you?
That's why I was never a big fan of Cloverfield. A lot of people love Cloverfield. I never could get into it because it was super shaky because it was a found footage film. Like,
that's one I do love, but
the concept is cool, but for me, listen, I'm talking about me. You know, it's okay to disagree with me, but the found footage is just not my thing. I literally watch it and I'm just like, I would love to know the rest of this story, but I can't get over the not being able to focus and everything is all over the place.
There are very few found footage films that I like. I will say one I can mention if you want to see is fucking terrifying. Is do you remember that they did that one found footage zombie movie back in the day called Quarantine?
Yes, that was like that was a zombie. Yeah, it was an American remake of a movie called Wreck.
Yeah, watch the original Wreck. That movie's fucking scary.
Yeah,
dude. It's really well done. I mean, it's still found footage, so you have to deal with the nonsense that goes with that. But it's a good movie.
We have gone way off topic here talking about found footage because The Ring is not found footage, so we're gonna keep going.
Well, technically it is. It's just they find
right.
Yeah, somebody else's.
I just want to know. I just want like somebody like a kid who doesn't know what a VHS player is to watch this movie and just be like, "The hell is that thing? What is he doing with that? What?
Make a wild." Tracking.
The Ring sold more than 2 million DVD copies in the US alone in its first 24 hours of video release. That is insane.
That was early DVD, wasn't that?
That had to have been the beginning or pretty damn close to it. I don't remember it had to have been 2000 when DVD became prominent, right?
Yeah, because I remember the PS2 was like one of the cheapest DVD players.
It was like 99, 2000 or something like that. Yeah, because I have that Jurassic Park from like 2000. I think I have the Jaws, the same thing from Jaws, which is from 2000, which I think that's when they all started coming out with these special edition DVDs because DVD was the thing.
Oh yeah.
Sadako, who is Samara in Ringu, that's the spirit or whatever she's considered. In that movie, she is a fully grown woman. And in the novel, she's a fully grown woman. She was also sexually ambiguous and was heavily implied to be intersex in the novels. In this film, Samara is a child and quite clearly feminine. So they took some liberties. They didn't want to make a direct remake. I like it when they kind of twist things around and they make their own thing instead of just doing a carbon copy, like when freaking Gus Van Sant decided to just do a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho with Vince Vaughn. We'll talk about that another time. So while this film takes place in Seattle, because they chose Seattle because it's a very wet and dark place, which it is.
I'll say we couldn't figure out where it was. It's like it's raining.
I said it. I was like, it's gotta be Seattle.
Yeah.
All the rain.
Earlier drafts of the screenplay, the film originally took place in my neck of the woods, Massachusetts, and in Maine for the scene involving the Morgan family. Because where I live is right now, it's wet and dark all the time, too.
Can't hear Massachusetts without thinking of that damn song. So.
Well, that's where I is.
No, I'm not making fun of you. I just makes me think of a song. I'm judging you for it.
Since the release of The Ring in Canada, the story of the cursed video has become very popular in some provinces, and the story is passed by kids in school as a rumor that it actually happened. I love it.
You mean like they did with Cannibal Holocaust?
No, it's Slender Man. It's, they took it's kind of the opposite of Slender Man, because Slender Man was just like people made up the story of Slender Man, and then it became a legend where the ring was a thing, and then kids turned it into a legend. But it's, similar. In one scene, Naomi Watts pulls a long string out of her mouth, which is it literally made me gag. In director Gore Verbinski's feature film debut, Mouse Hunt, strings played a key element in the plot.
I will say when she was doing the whole string thing, she was nailing that gagging.
Oh
dude. She nailed that.
Nasty. Just so gross. Oh, boy. All right. Well, that is all I got for trivia until we reach the plot. You guys have anything else before we get going?
I read nothing about any trivia going up to this. In fact, I forgot we were doing this until like an hour ago.
I tried to look up like behind the scenes videos to kind of help me with some stuff. Mm-hmm. There's like nothing on YouTube. There's like 5-minute videos and it's just interviews with the cast, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm not getting any info out of this.
I'm like you. Usually I do the same thing. I just was not thinking of it at all. And I'm half out of freaking tired today. So anyway, go ahead.
I'm exhausted, so I feel you there. All right. The Ring. The movie opens up to two girls, Katie and Becca, watching TV. Becca talks about a tape that when you watch it, you will die in 7 days. Katie states that her and her boyfriend watched it, and today is lucky day number 7. Oh no, she's choking! Psych! Fuck you, Katie. You suck. That's what I was thinking after what she was messing with her. I've been like, you suck, Katie. And I would have stormed out if I was her friend. She sucks. The phone rings, which terrifies the girls because Katie is now petrified because she doesn't know what to expect. But it turns out to be her mom.
Well, she fucks with her on that, too.
Yeah. Katie goes to grab something when the TV in the living room turns on. And this was actually kind of creepy. So the TV turns on. She goes into the living room, turns it off. And then did you see like the flash of like the dark shadow that like flies across the living room? When she goes to, she's like kneeling down in front of the TV and she turns off the TV, and in the reflection of the TV, you see a dark mass fly by. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I don't remember this. But she walks away and then the TV turns back on. She goes to the stairs to call up to Becca. Becca's not answering. She climbs the stairs. She hears something going on in her room. She goes, opens up the door, and that's when you get the TV shows the final shot of the video, which is the well, but you don't see anything but the well, and then it shows Katie. It zooms in on Katie's face, and her face turns all like ghostly white. And you actually see all of the images really fast from the tape in like flashing in her face before it cuts to black.
Well, I know, isn't there water coming out from under the door too?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she goes and she sees the water coming out, and and then she opens the door, and all that stuff happens. And I even still, I was like, oh shit, like it's a good. I feel like this is actually a pretty good opening scene.
It is.
And they spoofed it very well in one of the Scary movies.
I've only seen the first two, so I don't remember.
I don't remember. It was probably in like Scary Movie 3 or 4 or something like that they spoofed this movie. We meet Rachel and Aiden. Rachel played by Naomi Watts, and Aiden played by some kid. I did not look up his name, and I apologize to that kid, but he is.
Oh, he ain't worth worrying about.
All I know is that David Dorfman. All I know is that he like works in Washington now. He works like in the government, like for the government. So Rachel is not
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, he was the dirty boy, the dirty boy, the dirty Hewitt boy from the remake. I remember. Rachel, and he's in the ring too. Rachel is not a very present mother, but it's hard when you're a single mother of a very smart kid because you can tell this kid is very smart. Just the way he talks, the way he dresses. He's very, like, he feels like he's an adult in a kid's body. That's the kind of vibe you get. The teacher
take care of himself.
Yeah, the teacher tells Rachel to stay back. She wants to talk to him about like things that Aiden's been drawing. Rachel explains about how Aiden's cousin, is it his cousin?
Cousin.
Yeah, had just died the day before, and that's probably why he's drawing all these weird pictures. And the teacher's like, he drew these last week. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, moms are like, I'm a writer. I'm going to tell you what to do. Or I'm a journalist. I'm going to tell you what to do. And she's like, no, it was last week. Figure that shit out.
Yeah, psych. We find out that Katie was Aiden's cousin, and she used to watch Aiden all the time. So it's very emotional, even though Aiden doesn't really show much emotion. Aiden calls Rachel by her first name, which is, I would literally flip out if my kids called me by my first name on a consistent basis.
Right?
Like, what the frick did I do to deserve this?
Well, did this movie come out before or after The Sixth Sense? It was after, right?
So this was, so The Sixth Sense was was the reason behind a lot of studios deciding to go with these J-horror remakes. So it was The Sixth Sense in 99, and then this came out in 2002, and then at once The Ring came out, then it just was like full. We're going to do everything, because it was like Grudge and Dark Water. It was I can't remember what the other J-horror remake was, but that was like the send-off was The Sixth Sense, which is, to be honest, one of the best ghost movies about ghosts ever. Fight me on it.
Like, hey, just throw that in under your breath.
Katie, for some reason, mentioned to Aiden that she was probably going to die, which is a weird thing to tell however old this kid is. He's probably, what, 8, 9, 10?
Something like that. He's not very old.
No. Like, hey, maybe don't tell him that, even though it happened. We are, I love it, though, like, she asks him where her dress is. Like, why does he know where her dress is? Like, is he in his mom's closet, like, organizing it for her? Like, what the hell? And he's doing his tie up. It's like, is this kid the head of the household? I'm confused.
Yeah.
It's so they're getting all fancied up because they got to go to Katie's funeral. Katie's cause of death, according to the mother, was that her heart just stopped, which causes a lot of confusion with the family. Katie's mom, who is Rachel's sister, wants Rachel to try and figure out what happened. Rachel finds out that Katie's boyfriend also died the same day, and that Becca is in a mental institution. I can't.
There were 2 other people with him that died. Find out that died the same day.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, Rachel, and they all had died at the same day, at the same time. But we'll find out about that in a bit. Adam Brody makes an appearance in this movie. Yay. Because why not? He's there to tell Rachel about the tape, about her, how Rachel, her boyfriend, and then 2 other people had gone to a cabin, watched the movie, and then they, all died. Is this where they find out that the boyfriend died in like a motorcycle accident?
I don't know what the boyfriend died from. I know the other 2 died in a car crash, right?
Well, the friend, Aiden Brody or Brody,
Adam Brody,
whatever his name, Adam Brody, talks about how he killed himself. He committed suicide.
Oh, okay.
And then the other 2 died in some kind of vehicular accident. Yeah. Could have been motorcycle related. I don't know.
So there was a thing that stated, because of the fact, I mean, this spoils the end of this movie. The fact that after the 7 days, the spirit comes and kills you, and it comes out of, in the scene that you see in this movie, it comes out of a TV. Like the spirit crawls out of the TV and it gets you and causes you pretty much to instantaneously die. The theory is that I believe one of them died in a motorcycle accident or in some sort of vehicular accident, and that but there's no screens in there. Well, there was a theory that she comes out of the visor in his helmet and kills him, or she can come out of a mirror and kill you. It's weird. I don't know. Like, they just didn't think of the repercussions of how she would get them. I don't know. It's weird.
It's a great question.
Rachel finds Aiden in Katie's room, and Rachel finds a stub for a print shop. So the next day she goes to the print shop, gets the pictures developed, and it shows Rachel and her friends at a cabin. And one picture looks odd because everybody's face is blurry and distorted. We find out everybody in the photo died on the same day at the same time, 10 p.m. And then we get the scene where she's like reading that. And then her boss comes up and tells her she's fired. And she's like, fuck you. Get out of here.
You're fired.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm cooking too good a story.
What is it?
Yeah, I'm still here.
He's like, no, I'm serious. And she's like, fuck off, dude. And she's like, okay. And just walks away.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good. I like it. That's how our workplace should be. You know, you can just tell your boss to fuck off and he just walks away.
Right? Establishing Rachel's a great character here.
Yep. Rachel takes a trip to the cabin to investigate. She meets the weird clerk that's a terrible magician.
Yeah.
And he's,
Yeah.
I guess in a deleted scene for this movie, it shows the clerk watched the video and he ends up dying. That's why later on in the film, when they go back, he's not there.
Oh, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought it
I
was
didn't either.
off.
But I read that and I was like, okay, didn't really need to know this information, but it's there. Rachel finds a tape with no sleeve. She takes it and she goes and stays in the same cabin that Rachel and her friends stayed at.
Number 12.
Yep.
Cabin 12.
Rachel watches the tape, and after she's done, the phone rings, and you get the creepy voice on the other end say, 7 days. Which still gives me chills every time I would hear it. I think you only hear it once or twice in this movie, but it's just the voice. Oh, man.
I think so.
It gets you. And then she's back at her apartment and Aiden's going to school and you think, oh, she's going to bring him to school. No, this little kid is just getting his umbrella and he's going to walk to school in a big city by himself and just runs into creepy men who you later find out, hey, it's my dad.
Yep. Spoiler.
Such a dumb scene. Why is it in this? God, it's so dumb. It just makes me hate Noah even more, who is the next person we meet. Well, we met him in that scene, but we get to meet him officially. He takes a bunch of pictures of Rachel, and all the pictures have her face all distorted and blurry. So Noah says, I'll watch the tape, which is just stupid. I hate this.
Yeah,
like,
he's
God,
like, man, maybe you shouldn't watch it. He's like, I'm going to watch it anyway.
Yeah. So as he's watching the video, she goes out onto her balcony and is just watching all of her neighbors. Another scene where I'm like, why is this in here? Why did I need this for fucking 2 minutes? I don't care what the neighbor. There's no reason for this. Put her outside for 20 seconds because the reason I think they put her outside is that he watches the movie and then the phone rings. But she doesn't hear it while she's out there. So when she goes back inside and sees the answering machine has a message on it, you know automatically what that message is. It's Noah's message from the spirit saying 7 days.
Yeah.
But to be out there for 2 minutes as she's watching her neighbors and people across the way, we don't need this. This just adds time to an already too long movie. Stop it. So she goes back inside. Noah's like, oh, it doesn't seem too bad. And she's like, did the phone ring? No. And then she looks at the answering machine and it says 1. And you automatically figure out what it is.
Well, he said the same thing I said even beforehand. It's like, it looks like some pretentious art school video project is what it reminded me of. Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about the contents of the video. Like when Rachel watches it, you get to watch it at the same time. And it is creepy as hell. Like, what the fuck is going on here? You have let's see there's so many different things going on. Did you see the one scene where it goes from like, it's like a bunch of maggots, but then it flips like in a flash, it turns into people. It's people like looking like they're crawling all over each other. You got the woman brushing her hair in the mirror, which is a great shot. You got
horse and the goats.
The horse, the goats, the string coming out of the mouth, the chair spinning upside down, the lighthouse,
or the coast, or whatever.
The coast, but you don't figure out the lighthouse yet. Is that where it shows her, the woman, like going over the edge of the cliff?
I think so.
Yeah, she jumps off or falls or whatever.
Yeah. And then you get the guy in the window in the house, like looking down. It's creepy. Even to this day, like I still watch them like, this is an idea.
Fair.
Rachel goes and makes a copy of the tape for Noah because Noah wants a copy, but the numbers on the recorder and later the VHS player are all screwy.
Mm-hmm.
We meet Noah's assistant, aka his girlfriend, played by NCIS alum Paulie Perrette. Forgot she was in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Oh no!
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was cool to see her though. When I actually watched that show, she was my favorite.
Yep.
Oh no, Rachel, that's bad luck walking behind a ladder like that. Man, she is so unaware of everything going on right now.
This is from the video. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, we forgot the ladder. It shows it pressed up against the wall, and then it showed the next scene. It's like it falling on the ground. We then go to a mental institution. It's the second time in this goddamn episode that I can't say mental institution, and I'm not cutting it out. I'm just gonna keep it. Yeah, exactly. Where we see Becca again. Rachel tries asking her about what happened, and Becca tells her that Rachel only has 4 days left, and that Becca is too far gone. She is. I don't even think she's Becca anymore. Rachel continues to research the tape, and she finds a lighthouse. She tries to slow it down and try to manipulate the film so you can get parts that you can't see. Yep, in the film.
Yeah, because she goes to what's his nuts' house to do it.
Oh, I thought she did that at the school or at her job.
No. First, remember, she's with him because he makes the copy and brings it to his house. And he's like, well, I can't go too far, it'll break. And she's like, no, let me do it, because he's the fucking video specialist and she's just a damn journalist. Like, what are you doing, dumbass? And she breaks that. She breaks that one.
What are you?
Then she takes it to her work.
Doesn't he burns his hand or something on it, trying to get it to go? Yeah, because you
can't push it too far. Fuck it, let me do it.
Yeah, and she discovers a lighthouse on the side of the film that you couldn't see normally. But then it was the same scene where there was a fly.
I love that shot, dude.
And she notices it's even with the film stop that the fly is moving. So she reaches and grabs it, and the fly comes out of the film, and you're like, oh, that's not normal.
And her nose starts bleeding.
And then her nose starts bleeding, and which is weird. Rachel locates the lighthouse on Moesco Island. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm saying it. And she figures out who the woman in the video is. Her name is Anna Morgan, a famous horse breeder who had some bad luck with horse deaths, which later caused her to kill herself by jumping off a cliff, which is shown in the video.
Because the horses kept running into the water and drowning themselves.
Yep. Noah goes to the package store. Noah goes to the package store and gets grief from the clerk about smoking, which I hate that.
And she's like, you're going to die. Well, so-and-so smoked 2 packs a day or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you mind your business, lady? And he looks up at the security camera and he sees that his face is distorted and it freaks him out. Rachel that night is doing something. She's in her kitchen and then she starts coughing. Really, oh no, she's talking to her sister on the phone and she starts coughing really bad. And then she starts pulling out an EKG meter or reader or whatever the hell you call these things out of her mouth. Ugh. I literally my stomach hurts when I watch this scene every time. Oh,
it had to hurt.
She did a great job on that.
Oh yeah,
scene,
so good.
She nailed that.
That had to hurt though.
I feel like this movie got her the role in the 2005 King Kong remake because of how emotional she is.
Yeah,
I feel like this movie definitely got her. This and Mulholland Drive.
Never watched Mulholland Drive.
Me either. I heard it's a good movie. Rachel hears something in Aiden's room and finds a very wet and dirty girl sitting in a chair, which is kind of creepy. How she opens the door and she sees this. Well, she sees that there's water coming out of the door. She opens it up and there's just this girl who's just very dirty and wet sitting in a chair. And she goes, I'm going to walk up to this girl. And when she gets next to her, she grabs her arm. Wakes her up. Oh, it was a dream. But guess what? It wasn't. It was a weird, different type of dream because she looks down at her arm and she has the handprint on her arm, which is, oh my God. She hears a TV playing in another room. And so she starts slowly walking towards that room like, what's going on? And then by the time she discovers what's going on, it's too late. Aiden has watched the film, and which is a great scene. She runs over to him, covers his face, screams, no! and then
Throws
takes the tape
under the couch.
under the couch. Yep. Noah calls Rachel and tells her that he believes her. And you find out that Noah is Aiden's dad. Go team.
Our son watched the tape.
Yeah.
Who did? Our son.
Yeah. Fucking Noah. Noah is a very confusing guy because he talks about how his dad wasn't around, but then he decides he doesn't want to be around his son. Which you later find out like they were really young when they had him. And it's just like, you still suck, Noah. The fact that you're still involved and you still talk to the mother of your child, but you don't have anything to do with your kid, even though Aiden knows that Noah is his father, but he just doesn't care. He's like, would you like me to be around? He's like, I don't care. Do you want to be around? I love that.
Yeah.
He's like, do you want to be around? You're like, oh shit, this wasn't what I was expecting from this 9-year-old, but okay. Noah and Rachel decide to go on a trip. Noah goes up to the mental hospital to find out more information about Anna, and Rachel ferries over to Moesco Island to visit the Morgan farm. As Rachel rides on the ferry, she fucks with a horse. Like,
for some reason.
Pissed me off. She goes up to the horse. She's like, good horse. And then once the horse starts fucking getting pissed, walk away.
No,
You're not a trained horse trainer.
It's okay.
It's fine. Chill out. No, go away, Rachel. The horse breaks out of its trailer and runs around the ferry until it dives off the side and gets torn to shreds by the propeller of this ferry.
I thought that whole scene was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Especially because it was a black horse, which made it even creepier.
Freaking fault.
Yeah, it was Rachel's fault. She
Leave
sucks.
him alone.
Dumbass.
And right before the scene changes, where it shows Rachel, like her reaction after everybody sees the horse get just destroyed in the propeller, you see a flash of the ring.
Yes. I told Angela, I was like, did you see that? And it's like, we had to rewind it.
Yeah. Noah has to break into the records room at the mental institution because he can't get in normally because he's just a bad liar. Rachel,
that's true, he is.
He's a bad liar. Rachel makes it to the Morgan farm. We meet Mr. Morgan, who's played by Brian Cox. He doesn't like Rachel snooping around because he's already had way too many reporters at his house talking about the whole horse death thing and about his wife's death and all that crap. And she talks about, like, did you have did she ask about, did you have a daughter? And he says, no, I didn't have a daughter.
Yeah.
Which then he reiterates later. We find out that him and Anna could not have kids.
Yeah.
And we find out that Aiden's drawing that he was drawing when they were dropping him off at her sister's house was the Morgan house. Remember when she comes, he's like, it's time to go, bud. And he's like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
Noah finds a file on Anna, or Anna, however I think it's Anna. And we learn about a girl named Samara. There's a creepy conversation between Rachel and Aiden about death, which was so weird. You get that, like, where he was like, talk about, like, everybody dies. You're like, okay, good night, buddy. I'm going to go now.
And then, while he's looking through the files is when he gets his nosebleed, by the way, Noah.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. And talk to him about the tape. Aiden talks about how Katie talked to him about the tape and about her upcoming death. This is not a conversation you have with a kid this age, Katie. I understand you're dead, but, like, don't have this conversation with your 9-year-old cousin. Come on. Stupid. And
I agree. I'm not.
And
for some
Rachel
reason,
asks.
Sorry.
Well, Rachel asks Aiden why he drew the house, and he said because she told me to.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he mentions that,
and that she lives in a dark place.
Well, she also mentioned before that she didn't like the horses because the horses kept her up at night.
Yeah.
Yep. Rachel talks to the lone doctor on the island. The doctor talks about how Samara was adopted by the Morgans because they couldn't have kids, as we stated before. And Samara was the reason behind Anna going crazy. And she literally states how Samara was a plague to the island. And so with her death, and when they talked about, like, when she died or disappeared, I don't know if, like, the island knows she's dead, but she said, like, when Samara was gone, the island was able to, become whole again. Kind of. I feel like that's what she was trying to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Noah, as he's looking through files and stuff, he finds a tape of interview with Samara in the mental institution, but it's not there. But you find out it was signed out by Mr. Morgan. Rachel goes back to the Morgan farm and finds documents and a tape, which is the tape that Noah was trying to watch. Rachel finds it in the Morgan house. She starts watching it, which is just a weird thing to do. You break into somebody's house, you start looking through documents, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch a videotape in a house I just broke into. This isn't gonna go bad. Yeah, she starts watching the video. It's of a little girl, which is Samara, and this doctor is asking her questions. The actress who played Samara is Davy Chase. I think that's how you say her name.
It looks like it.
Do you know what movie she did a voice for around that same time for Disney?
Lilo and Stitch.
She was Lilo in Lilo and Stitch, which is just weird.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when she talks in this scene, in this video, you hear it. You're like, oh, shit. Yep. Can't get that out of my head now. Samara talks about enjoying being who she is. They pretty much how she enjoys killing, or she enjoys doing what she does.
You don't want to hurt anyone.
But I do, and I'm sorry. It won't stop.
Because she's very, she's like, I don't really know the whole extent of it. Like, she's got some sort of power over people. She can get in their heads and manipulate them.
She mentions that she wants her mom, and then that she doesn't want her dad, or doesn't love her dad because her dad only cares about the horses.
Yep. And that's pretty much why Samara ends up manipulating the horses to kill themselves, which you find out. Samara is behind everything that happens on this island. Rachel gets attacked by Mr. Morgan because he just wanders in wrapped up in power strips, and he is pissed. He freaking backhands her, and he proceeds to go up to the bathroom, and as he's wrapped in power strips, he plugs himself in, walks into his bathtub, and sits down and electrocutes himself. As he's going into before that, though, he goes into a monologue about, how Samara, he didn't have a daughter. She was pretty much a plague. She destroyed us. This is not what we signed up for. We weren't supposed. He literally goes, we weren't supposed to have kids. We weren't meant to have kids. He didn't want, just because they couldn't have kids didn't mean he wanted a kid. He just figured they couldn't have it. That was it. But Anna wanted a child, so they, adopted Samara, and then it just, all goes downhill. And of course, Noah shows up right as Mr. Morgan kills himself.
During the light show.
So we figure out, Samara doesn't like the horses. They keep her up at night. And you find out it's because the Morgans literally have her stay in the barn that the horses stay in. You're like, man,
I think it was more the father.
Yeah, it was more Mr. Morgan kept her out there. We have the wall. So she literally lived in a loft area of this barn, and there's wallpaper behind it. And you have the funny thing is that there's a TV there.
You get the long ladder.
Yep. To get up to her area. They find something is behind this wallpaper, so they proceed to rip it all down, and it's a tree. It's burned into the wood. And this is actually a Japanese maple. Well, the picture is of a Japanese maple, and the fruit that grows off of a Japanese maple is called the Samara fruit.
Okay.
There you go.
There's our connection.
Yep. This leads them back to the cabin, cabin 12, where Rachel watched the movie to begin with. And this is day 7 for Rachel. Mm-hmm. And they find out there is a well underneath this cabin.
Which is really, why would you do that? That would be if you was a well underneath the floorboards of the cabin, you would have so many mold and humidity problems.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
But can we talk about how they found the well under the floor?
Yeah, because it started tearing stuff apart. Was it Noah started tearing shit apart, or was it?
No, they moved a rug, and it was a wet spot.
Well, they broke the lamp, and the lamp had beads and stuff in it, and they rolled underneath the TV stand.
It was magnetic. It was magnetized to that certain spot. Yeah, that was crazy. So Noah starts hacking into the floor, and they find out there's a well down there. They open up the lid, and as I stated before, it's day 7 for Rachel, meaning weird things are going to start happening. The TV starts leaking. Screws start unscrewing themselves.
Oh yeah. Water comes up from the.
Yep. And the TV then like it like stretches out and it breaks and it like slides down and smacks into Rachel and knocks her into the well, which would have killed her because that is a deep ass well and she probably hit the walls.
Exactly. And so like you see all these bolts unscrewing, and then there's like a platform type thing that falls, does somehow makes the TV fall. I don't know if it's just the jarring motion makes the TV fall. She would have landed on her head the way she fell. She would have landed on her head. She would have died.
I'm not disagreeing.
100%. But we had to continue this plot, so can't kill her yet.
And she hits the side on the way down.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't
and she
fall
goes head
straight
first
down.
too. It wasn't like she jumped down with her legs. She went down head first. Oh boy. So when she lands in the water, she sees that there's fingernails like embedded in the well walls. And any shot that you see Samara and they show her hands, she doesn't have any fingernails. Because of the fact that she's, you know, she tries to get out of it and rips out all of her fingernails.
Go ahead.
So they pop, or nope, I already read that. Samara decides to put the well cap back on, and that is where you get the titular ring, where they get the name of the movie from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where the light comes in from around the stone.
So this was changed. So this whole thing was changed for the American version of this because in Ringu, the ring, the name Ringu, which is just ring, it was about how everything was circular, how everything kind of went back in, like, you know, something would happen and it all would just go back to itself. That was the whole point of Ringu. But in the ring was what Samara sees right before the lid closes on the well. She sees the ring of light from the well. I like it. I thought it was a cool, you know,
it's an interesting way to do it. Yeah, for sure.
What were you going to say, Dan?
Oh, I think they elaborated before, but before this whole scene where she falls into the well, maybe this is what we're about to do. I can't quite remember, but you find out that what's her name, Morgan's wife,
Anna,
actually put like a bag over Samara's head.
And
then threw her into the well, but it didn't kill her. That's why there's the scratch mark.
So when Rachel is like in the well water and she sees hair float up to the top, and then when she grabs the hair like comes to her and she touches it, and then an arm grabs her again, and that's what brings her to the flashback of Samara standing next to the well and she's humming or singing or whatever, and Anna comes up behind her and starts saying stuff, and then she freaking puts a bag over her head, tries to suffocate her, and then just flops her in there. And,
my child.
Yeah. And the reasoning why you die in 7 days when you watch the film is because it took 7 days for Samara to die in the well.
Yep.
Which,
how long can you survive in a well?
Which, to be honest, this is a fantastic, like figuring all this stuff out. It wasn't just kind of hashed in. This was great. I love the imagery of the ring from the well lid, and then the fact that like it took her 7 days to die, so that's why it takes 7 days for people to die when they watch the film. I thought it was great. Cops come to investigate. Well, then we get the body of Samara comes floating up, all kind of intact, and then it slowly like decomposes. And
like, you're free, child.
And you get the scene. You get the scene where freaking Noah's out there trying to get a freaking fire hose. And I love it. He breaks the glass. He grabs the fire hose and he's running. And then it like becomes taut and he just slap on his back. Oh man! And
Rachel, the sun's up. You're not dead or whatever.
Yep. And so the body of Samara comes up. Blah blah blah. The cops come and investigate, and they tell Rachel and Noah that they're going to bury Samara's body. So they think it's over. Samara's she's going to be buried. Everything's over. She's at peace now.
Then you're looking at your watch and you're like, there's like 5 minutes of this movie left.
Like, why is there still so much time?
Like, what else can you do?
And so they go back to pick up Aiden, and he's just passed out on the hardwood floor. Like, where's the ant?
Yeah, who leaves their No, listen, especially okay. This is entirely out of character for this kid as far as movie goes. He apparently tucks himself in for bed, brushes his teeth, wakes himself up, makes breakfast for himself, takes himself to school. That makes no sense for him just to be like, bleh.
Yep.
It's like somebody clubbed him and he just.
Oh,
she gave him
man.
Benadryl.
Yeah, she's. I mean, clearly she's probably passed out drunk somewhere because her daughter just died. So she probably wasn't in the right mindset to be watching this kid.
Yeah.
So Rachel tells Aiden the next morning that it's over. We helped Samara. She's at rest now. She's at peace. It's over. And he's like, what? You helped her? She is. Oh, this is not over. This is not over.
She never sleeps.
Aiden is the ridiculous voice of reason.
Yeah, she never sleeps, which is a creepy ass line.
Don't you understand, Rachel? She never sleeps.
And that's when we cut over to Noah's apartment. His big, gigantic, open concept, like, studio apartment. This apartment is fucking massive.
It is huge.
But he's a tech guy, so he probably.
Imagine what the rent is on that place.
What?
I mean, from what I hear, if it does take place in Seattle, like I'm not just filmed there, but like if that's actually where they live, it's pretty expensive.
Yep.
So Noah is just hanging out at his apartment and he's kind of just walking around and his TV turns on and it's all static. And he goes up there and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And he turns it off and he walks away and the TV turns back on, all staticky. But when he turns around, the static changes into an image of a well. Now, every time throughout this movie, you would see this scene of the well. Progressively, you would see something slowly coming out of it. So when you see it in the beginning of the movie with Kate, what was the girl's name in the beginning? Who dies? Katie. When she sees it, it's just the well. When Rachel comes in, or when Rachel watches it, I don't think there might have been something there. I think maybe like the top of Samara's head is kind of poking out a little bit. You can kind of see it a little bit. When Aiden watches it, it's like it's like a little bit more of her head.
Yeah, like a hand, isn't it? Like she's
and her hand, yeah, you see the hand like propped on the top. So when it shows this image, it shows it's at that point, but then you see it, but it continues to move. And to be honest, even watching it now, this scene is still fucking terrifying. This scene is fucking great. Of her crawling and like, because it's a video, it's like every time she would like static and she would move, like jump forward. And the best, I mean, him just kind of just sitting there and kind of being like, what the frick is this? Like, it's understandable. It's a videotape. So you're kind of like, what am I watching right now? But then she proceeds when she sticks her hand out of the TV and props it down. And then, oh my God, I was like, oh, this is so good. And I hate that it took this long to get to this, but it also is great that it took this long to get to this. It's great that we didn't get this reveal until way to the end. We got all that investigative stuff happening, and then we get the terrifying scene. And to be honest, I think this scene still holds up today. The fact that she like crawls out of the TV, and even when she's outside of the TV, she still like becomes static and then like teleports closer to him.
Yep.
And he's freaking out. He like trips and falls, cuts himself. He's bleeding all over the place. And that's when it shows her zoom in. It zooms into her face and her hair kind of parts ways. And you get that really creepy look on her face.
Yep.
And he screams. And then we cut over to Rachel. She shows up to his apartment and she's like going up to get there. Like the elevator won't come down fast enough, so she's got to take the stairs. Back to that scene though. In the original Ringu, you never see the face of Sudako.
No.
Where in this movie they reveal part of her face in her spirit form. So Rachel climbs the stairs. She goes in. She discovers. This is another good scene where it shows her like walking up. She's like, Noah, like she's calling out to him, but he's sitting in a chair facing the opposite way. But she knows
there's water around the chair.
There's water around the chair. There's water. Like you can actually, there's footprints. There's water footprints of where Samara actually walked out of the TV. Are still there. There's blood all over the place where he was lying down. And she turns the chair around, and it's just that like really creepy ass face of his, like super distorted, like his jaw is like hanging all the way down, which I'm really upset with myself. I didn't talk about way early in the film when they go to Katie's funeral and talking to the mom, and you get the really quick shot of Katie in the closet.
Yeah, a little quick jump scare
where it literally turns her head and her jaw like falls, and you're like, whoa, and it's like a split second, and it's great. But yeah, this is this. So she freaks out, she leaves, and as she leaves, like she gets to the bottom of the stairs, she discovers the girlfriend shows up. Or is she gonna tell her about what's up there? No, she just wants to let her discover for herself.
Yeah, like she's like, I wasn't here, nobody saw anything. Just let it. So
Rachel comes home. She is very upset, of course. She tries to burn the tape. But so this is my thing, and correct me if I'm wrong with how you guys interpreted this. So if you watch the tape and you make a copy and somebody else watches the copy, it moves the curse onto that person and you're good. Is that how this works?
Maybe.
I don't know if they necessarily have to watch it, but I know they have to make the copy because she makes mention that she wants everybody to know. That Samara wants everybody to know. Yeah. That she's trying to, I guess, infect everybody.
So this is what I story. Yeah. Let's keep going.
So so I think the reasoning behind them making the copy at the end of the movie is to save Aiden.
Yes, because he watched it.
So Rachel watches the tape. Noah watches the same tape. Rachel makes a copy. Noah watches that copy again. So he watches the tape again, meaning she pretty much fucked him bad, like without knowing it. So she was in the clear, even though she didn't know. Aiden, so they're making the copy to show somebody. They're just they're gonna fuck somebody over. She's trying to save her child by killing somebody else.
Well, this is what I wondered about this.
She's like freaking out in the apartment.
Well, here's the thing I don't understand, right? If that is the way that it works, right? She watched a copy the next day. Noah watched it, right?
Yeah.
If that was the moment it transferred from her to him, why did she get the nosebleed? Why did she have the fly scene? And why did she pull the monitor thing out of her throat?
Dude, I'm still confused to this day.
Here's my thought. This is my interpretation of the end of this movie. Literally is because they thought they helped her. It's literally like, as long as those two propagate what she wants, that she won't kill them. That's how I feel. Like, okay, we're just gonna keep. It's like that one dumbass kid's like, what's gonna happen to the people that watch it? And then nobody says anything.
I'm gonna look this up right now.
Well, so that's just like it's that's how it come across to me. Is like it's a. That's why I don't like these characters. They're a bunch of shit ass characters. It's like when she left after she saw Noah's body. She didn't say nothing to nobody. She's like just trying to cover her own ass. That's all she fucking cared about. And then this whole tape thing was like, we'll just spread it around and do what Samara says, and I won't die or you won't die, Aiden, or whatever. So like it's just greedy shit.
So according to the Ring fandom wiki,
okay, fair.
Which you can take it or leave it. Anyone who watches the tape is cursed and has a week to copy the tape and show it to someone else. Otherwise, they will be killed by Samara's ghost.
Is this reminds me of that one movie,
Truth or Dare?
Or It Follows.
Oh,
where you got sex with somebody and you have to pass it along or whatever you have to do to move it to the next person.
That's going on the list for review. That movie, I have never seen it, but I've heard great things about it.
Yeah. So that, or Truth or Dare, like you said. Yeah. Like that shit.
So, yeah. I mean, listen, anybody, for everybody who watches this, what are your opinions on it? What are your thoughts about the rules of the tape? Make sure to leave those in the comments. I'd like to read your thoughts. But yeah, that is it. That's how the movie ends. They make the copy of the tape and then it's cut to black. And The Ring 2 literally, I think, picks up like 6 months later or not too much later. I think it's one of those movies that you just to watch it just to see what they decide to do with it.
I'm just gonna watch a plot synopsis.
Yeah, I would do that. But yeah, that's it. That's The Ring. What are our final thoughts of it?
Dicks out for The Ring. Cock rings for everybody.
Okay. All right.
Good.
So
go ahead.
Great way to end that.
Like, yep, I'm gonna cut right there.
No,
That's
well, go ahead.
perfect.
Go ahead.
I mean, so I'm a big, my brain just went, boop. All the words went
Powder.
powder out
That's
of
my
my
brain the
ears.
entire show. It's okay.
I like, one of my favorite things in movies is when you see certain things, like foreshadowing, I guess, like with the lead that she gags up. Like you see that later when Noah's in the records room and he grabs a big handful and he's like, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah.
Or the fly that leads him. The fly plays a big part because the fly is on the side of the screen where she sees the
lighthouse.
flicker, that where she eventually finds the lighthouse.
Yep.
Well, then the fly takes him to the door he needs to go into to find Anna's, or not Anna's, but the record that he's looking for. And then Samara and her pictures that she doesn't draw, because the doctor asks her, how do you draw the pictures? And she's like, I don't. I think them and they just are. And then that's why Aiden draws all these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know how she gets them in his brain and talks to him and like makes him do all this stuff. Like,
Right.
how did that become?
Well,
But I still like all the correlation between the first half and the second half, when you're like, oh, I've seen this before. Like the chair in the video, you see the chair in her room, and the mirror, you see the mirror, and the horses, and it's just, I think it's cool.
But why did Samara do half the shit she did?
That's the thing, is they never explain that. They never explain why she is the way she is.
She's
like,
supposedly,
I get she's supposed to be like this evil thing or cursed with some evil spirit, whatever.
but it's based on a Japanese ghost that manifests after dying.
Yeah. Well, but I get that, but like, if it like you said, if it transfers from person to person as they watch it, why did any of the shit happen to Rachel after whoever watched the tape, her copy of the tape afterwards?
Noah.
Why did the TV knock her into the fucking well? Why did she fake like she was fine and purified, Samara? That doesn't make any sense. Why go on this wild goose chase of like dropping cues and subtleties and shit like this to be all for naught? Outside of just giving us an ending to a story that was a red herring.
My question is
But she can still, like, she can manipulate people, so she was like, oh, well,
Yeah, but
maybe if...
why?
I don't know.
I guess to just copy the tape and keep it. I know, just to copy the tape and keep it alive.
Right.
Why do people do certain things
It's just
that don't make sense?
Either explain it all or don't explain anything. There you go. I like movies that don't. I love movies that don't explain things to you. Like, at the end of the day, you don't know why something happened. Like, don't fucking tell us.
There you go.
But this whole movie just literally spent the time trying to explain to us why the fuck this is going on. And I like that. Except for another thing I want to state is when it's like day 1, day 2.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do that.
No, it didn't matter.
Like, if you wanted every once in a while to be like, hey, first day, establish that, and then like cut out a bunch of scenes we didn't need to see, and then day 4,
well, like,
and like just to kind of give some sense of timeline.
Right. Well, like Becca reminds her of how many days she has left.
Yeah, when they're then there wasn't even any point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
It was okay. It was an okay film. I have my nitpicks.
I'll take it.
Okay,
I'll take it. You know what? Like I said, I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, and I picked it because it truly terrified me when I first saw it. You know, when it first released, and I wanted to see how well it held up, and I thought it held up pretty good for a early 2000s horror movie. Which, to be honest, I think early, like from 2000 to 2010, horror was not great. You know, it was kind of all the same, or it was remakes. You know, we got the Texas Chainsaw remake, we got Friday the 13th remake, and then 2010, I think we got the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. And boy, I can't wait to do a remakes episode. and a
Dude,
sequels episode of the show. So that'll be coming up soon. I'm thinking we're gonna do an episode on either one of those in probably the end of November after we finish the Jurassic movies.
I like to do Chainsaw Massacre because I've never seen the original and I love the remake from the early 2000s.
I do too. All right, everybody. That is this week's episode. I want to thank everybody for watching or listening if you listen on podcast services or if you watch on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube down below. Leave us some comments, anything we missed. And make sure if you listen on podcast services, make sure to rate us on whatever service you listen on. If you can rate us, we'd appreciate that greatly. For next week's episode, we're going to have a special guest with us to talk about the final movie for Spooktober. And that
I remember.
And that is our friend Piggy.
Piggy!
And the movie we will be reviewing is the 1988 classic horror movie, the
Poltergeist.
The horror, I call it the horror Toy Story. Child's Play.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Oh God, I can't wait. I got my shirt ready. I'm ready to go. We will do our best to give you all the content. I'm trying to do other things other than just the podcast, just to kind of grow the YouTube. Also, Halloween Kills came out on the 15th, on the 15th. So, there might be a Halloween Kills quick review on the channel at some point. So look forward to that. But yeah, for next week's podcast, it is Child's Play with our good friend Piggy. And that is
excited.
it.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I love Chucky. I love talking about
I haven't
Chucky.
seen it in a while.
It's going to be great. But that is it for today's episode. I want to thank you all. Like I said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube. And we'll see you all next week. I am Brett Parker. That is DNA Gaming. And we are Dissect That Film. And this has been the Dissect That Film podcast. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.